for the Rizal Park, more likely 10 to 15 minutes to walk around to tell you about the history about the place. And after that, we're gonna go back to the bus and get into Intramuros and take the Calesa and visit the Casa Manila, the museum, and the Fort Santiago. So you still have energy to do it, to walk around. Do you still have energy?
I still have it.
No, I can hear you. I'm not convinced that you still have energy because somehow you answered me like you don't have energy anymore. Are you still have you still have the energy to walk around?
Yeah.
All right, that's a much better answer with a louder voice. All right, so Spanish stays in the Philippines for 333 years, but you can never hear us speaking Spanish. Did you hear anyone in the lobby speaking Spanish?
No.
Or like English, right?
Yeah.
Or Tagalog, or other dialects like Korean, because we have Koreans in the lobby, but not Spanish. British for 2 years, and then that was the year 1760 to 1764. Um, Americans for 48 years. That was the time that your Filipino became more educated because of the Americans. All right, so on your left side, that is part of Rizal Park, the national park of the Philippines. And the building, the white building on your left, that is National Museum for Anthropology, and on your right is the National Museum for Fine Arts.
Okay.
So we have three big museums here in Manila that is actually free to visit, especially for students like you guys. Yeah, we would love to accommodate you, but the thing is we don't have the time. Yeah, because we are like a big group. So more likely they can accommodate per museum, per one group is 20 only for walk-in. But since we have a scheduled, we only have we have a schedule to follow. So I think this is like the only part where you can have like check the tourist spots. In the Philippines, our name of our city was actually a product of misunderstanding between the Spanish and the Filipino. Right? The word Manila was actually derived from the word Maynilad. Maynilad is May is a prefix word that meaning there is, and then nilad is the species of plant that is abundantly growing on the side of Manila Bay and Pasig River. It's a species of mangrove, or call it indigo. So when the Spanish arrived in Manila, they asked the Filipino people, what is the name of the place? But the Filipino thought they were asking for what is the name of the plants surrounding on the shore of Manila. They said, Maynila. So the Spanish thought it was the name of the place. So they called the place Maynila. And Maynila was actually governed by the Muslim king Raja Sulaiman. Alright, the Muslim religion in the Philippines were introduced by the year 1380 before the Spanish. So when the Spanish arrived in the Philippines, we Filipinos, we are Muslims. Because the first group of people who traveled to the Philippines to introduce Muslim is coming from Brunei, coming from Indonesia to the Philippines is Zulu, called Zulu. So Zulu was the first mosque that we have for Muslim religion people, and then it is scattered all around the Philippines after that. By the year 1500s to 1600s, we Filipinos are 80% Catholic. 80% Muslim. But when the Spanish arrived, Filipinos were forcibly introduced to Catholic religion and forced it to be convert into Catholic religion. Yeah. That's why now we're not 80% Catholic. We're not 80% Muslim, but we are like 70 to 75% Catholic, and we only have like 15% Muslim, and there is a different religion. So we actually have a smaller numbers of Muslim people in the Philippines, but we have a larger community here in Manila of Muslim on the downtown part of Manila. Anyway, we're gonna visit on the side of Manila. You see those grassland area?
Yeah.
At the back, that is the Intramuros, the citadel of the Spanish government. or Spanish people. Yes, because all these signages in every corner of the streets are written in English. And somehow, even if we speak in Bahasa, we have a word also that's actually quite same with your language. So this is our part. We're just gonna go on that area with the monument. So this area is part of Rizal Park. So Rizal Park is known as the execution ground of the Filipino people during the Spanish colonial period, when the Filipinos tried to revolt against the Spanish, because we Filipinos, we don't have education, especially for the poor people. That's why I mentioned that we only understand Spanish and speak Spanish, but we can never read and write Spanish. So when we've been liberated from the Spanish, Americans went to the Philippines with the Thomasites, who actually created schools for the Filipinos and teach us in English. So that's why English has become our second language in the Philippines.
Mana Daniel?
Alright, bus number 2, let's go.
Cara ibu dua orang. Rasa saka romantis aja. Jalan-jalan. Jalan-jalan.
So if they did something wrong, the Spanish people, the Spanish government will punish them based on the gravity of their what they did, the gravity of what they did. If it's the thing that they did is actually going to affect the government, it will result into execution. Yeah, but if it's like a very not really that much, you're gonna be imprisoned and you'll be punished with polo y servicio for like a couple of months. Polo y servicio is a forced labor that was given to a guy or a woman that aged 16 years old up until to 50 years old to work with them for 3 months without any pay. Alright? And during the Spanish colonial period, only men can join universities. Women will be sent off to a monastery and teach by nuns to be how to be a good wife. They're like groomed to be a nun. Yeah. So you have to be talk very slow, very feminine. So that's how they done it before. So this area was known because of that guy or the monument. That is Rizal. So the Rizal is not actually a pure Filipino blood. Remember that we have a lot of Chinese people in the Philippines before. So we have a lot of Filipinos. So yeah, Rizal or the family of Rizal is originally from Fujian, China. So his ancestor, his bloodline is Chinese, not a purebred Filipino. So those are the Chinese people who travel to the Philippines to do business with us. And then those Chinese men didn't want to go back to China. So what they did is they married a Filipina and then started a family in the Philippines. So no one is going to get above the Insulares. Followed by Insulares, El Estrado, and India. And during the Spanish period, the most powerful entity or powerful governance is the religion rather than the state. So whatever the religion dictates, Filipinos or even the government follows. So that's why priests became more abusive during that time. Yeah. Don't worry, I'm a Catholic, and I'm not saying it's to be against the Catholic, but those things happened during the colonial period. But of course, now, today, those things is not existing anymore. Right? The Filipino is actually like a free country. So we have like Chinese people living in Manila, Catholic and Muslim in one area, downtown. All right, I'm gonna give you like 3 minutes to take photo on the monument of Dr. Rizal, and after that we're gonna go to the execution ground.
Execution ground. Okay.
Oldest hotel in the Philippines that was constructed by the Americans 1908 and finished 1912, and the first air-conditioned building we have in the Philippines by the Americans. Regarding the food, I think, yeah, because of religion, of course. We love to eat a lot of meat. The Filipinos, but we have also a lot of like now converted to vegan Filipinos.
Oh.
By the Spanish. Ayo means pass. Or let's go. Come on.
I know.
It goes like that way.
Then like forward.
Forward. Turus. Okay.
T-R-U-S,
Move
right?
forward.
S-Z.
Turus.
Truz.
And then
Yeah, I was like recalling, remembering the words I learned during the past years. Anyways, this is the execution ground of Dr. Rizal, right there. So one of the reasons why he was executed because he wrote a novel against the Spanish people, against the Spanish government. So the novel titled No Limitangere en el Filibusterismo. So that novel tells about the story and how the Spanish have become more abusive to the Filipino people, how they treated the Filipino people. Since the Filipino is not educated, so the guy right there is Jose Rizal, our national hero. He doesn't want to be liberated or he doesn't want to be removed from the government of Spain because he actually thinks that Spain is our motherland and Spain is our mother country and the Philippines is the province of Spain in the Philippines. All he wanted to have is reform, meaning we don't have to be racist. Like either you're a Filipino or you're Spanish, you should have an equal opportunity when it comes to education and every privilege in the government. So that's why when he wrote the novel and then he tells about the story how the Filipino were abused by the Spanish government get mad at him. The government wanted him to get imprisoned and later on get punished and executed. Yeah, it happened. He was executed here, December 30, 1896. And then right after he was executed, 2 years after, we gained our independence coming from the Spanish. But the Philippine history, we have two Independence Day. One is from the Spanish, second is from the Americans. But the only Independence Day that we celebrate is the one from the Spanish, 1898. Because those are the years or hundreds of years that we actually experience abuse. But during the stay of Americans in the Philippines, Americans gave us education. So they gave us universities. So we become more educated and become more good in English language. Alright? So that's why the largest influence of the Spanish government in the Philippines is the Catholic religion. And the largest influence of the Americans is the education. So first Independence Day is 1898, followed by 1946 after the World War II. So we have two, but we celebrated the 1898 because that's more meaningful. Because we have a lot of like Filipinos who fought for our freedom during that time. When we were under the Americans, when the Americans bought the Philippines from Spain for $20 million. They bought us from Spanish. That includes Cuba, Puerto Rico, and Guam. Those are countries under by the government of Spanish. So right after that, when we were being bought by the Americans, the Filipinos has resistance from the Americans. We don't want any more invaders in the Philippines, so we fight against the Americans for 3 years. But of course, the Filipinos doesn't have the power because we are like starting over again. We don't have enough ammunitions, guns to fight against the Americans. Americans are quite powerful country. Americans like this huge, and the Philippines like this one. So what can we do? So we surrendered, but after we surrendered from the Americans, 1901, we started a government called Commonwealth of the Philippines, wherein the government is handled by the Filipinos and the Americans together. So that's why they treated us equal, gave us education, healthcare, everything Filipino needs. So we don't experience abuse. So that's why we don't celebrate the independence from the Americans. Alright? So yeah. So Rizal died here December 30, 1896 at around 7:03 in the morning. And after that, 2 years after, we gained our independence. Okay. So after here, we're gonna go to Intramuros. Alright, let's go. I'm gonna give you like a minute or two to take pictures if you want.
Oh, Rafa, you're learning Spanish, right?
Yeah.
Spanish, Spanish tita there.
Spanish escuela?
Yeah, everything here built by them. This is Calesa.
Okay.
These houses were 300 years old, 200 years old, 100 years old. Faster, faster, faster.
That building was actually not bombarded by the Americans. The other buildings here, right, like that building, this building was bombarded by the Americans. So that's why it's one of the oldest standing building that we have inside Manila. And the rest is like destroyed. So this pavement is the original pavements of Intramuros. So this stones that they use here is we call it piedra china. Those are the ballast that we use. They use on the galleon to balance the ship. So right after they disembark all the goods they have, they disembark also together with the stone. So the stone was used as the pavement of the streets here in Manila. Okay.
Oh.
Barbara, name after the owner. But it's the window they use seashells.
Again, what's number 2? Just stay here.
Seashore.
During the World War II in the Philippines,
Hati-hati ya. Siapa yang buat badannya misalkan Tasya, dulu ya.
because during that time, when Japanese go to their houses of the Filipino, what they're gonna do is they actually
do not explain in
separate
Japanese.
all the family members. So the man will be beheaded in front of the family members. The children, they're gonna let the children free, run. And then they're gonna shoot them like wild animals. And the women, yeah, they're gonna keep you there in prison and sexually abuse the women. And then, if ever the woman can escape, she has a life after. But if the women get pregnant inside the prison of the Japanese, it's too sad because before they let the women free, they're going to have this guessing game. What is the gender of their baby? And any guess how they do it? Something brutal. Yeah, it's something brutal. They have to cut the tummy, check the baby. Who guessed it right, win the game. And then throw the baby on air, catch it with bayonet. You know bayonet? It's a gun with a knife at the end. Yeah. So that's so very inhuman. You know, very brutal and cruel. Yeah. So that was the worst part of the Philippine history. But you know, after that, what happened? Japanese actually don't apologize to the Philippines. They didn't even have to say sorry. Hey, sorry, bro. Sorry. No, nothing like that happened. What they did is that after the World War II, they are one of the countries to actually help us to reestablish the country after the World War II. I think that even I think that's the way they do their story, by helping us. You know. But this time we're gonna go down now. Again, reminders. Make sure watch your head going down so you don't bump.
Okay. See. Oh.
You can check all the pictures on the wall.
You're like a perfect size for this.
Mother with a child. Oh, you are so gentle. You are my bombshell. Yeah. So do I. Actually, wait.
Ikaw ka.
Kaya, biyan na. Biyan na.
Awal lagi na ka mama. Mama rin. Kita ya mama.
Oh my god. Free. Wow.
disappointed. I'm disappointed.
What? Dude.